Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Online Footprint Project. I'm your host, Ross McFarlane. Thank you so much for investing your time with us here today. So super excited. Alicia's coming on, Alicia Drover. She's been with us in the community since the beginning. Big fan of her work. She's an expert copywriter. She actually was one of our first guests, but the internet was really shitty. And so because of that, we, in essence, are doing a redo now. So super excited for her to come on. So, Alicia, thanks for coming on the show today and redoing this so you can offer some fantastic value.
Yeah, thanks for bringing me on again. And although this isn't live, I'll be checking the comments. So if anybody has questions, I'm super happy to answer those for you guys.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. And if you are on the replay, we would love to hear from you. If you could type in hashtag team replay, because we want to get to know that you guys are watching these at some point, because if that's the case, then we'll keep doing them, because I've been doing them for almost 2 months now. And I'm getting a lot of positive response, but I want to make sure that it's the right kind of response. So if you are watching it on the replay, hashtag team replay, or if you've got any questions, then absolutely drop in the comments, and Alicia is more than happy to answer those for you. Because part of sales, and as you guys may know, that my background is sales, and sales is a big component of any business. So, and one facet of that is being able to articulate ourselves, especially digitally, if we're trying to create an online presence. So, being able to write, fantastic copy, or be able to create the text for websites or sales pitches or whatever else is so important. So, Alicia is someone that can assist with that. So I thought it'd be fantastic for her to come on. We can share her story, show off some value from that industry, and and then we can run through how you can get in touch with her as well. So, Alicia, I'd love to know about when you first got started. Is it something that you've always had, say, an entrepreneurial streak in you, or is it more that you kind of came to a revelation that you wanted to be a business owner? How did it all come about?
Well, it kind of came about in a roundabout way, I'd say. In terms of writing, I've always loved writing. It's been my biggest passion and talent, but never really considered doing it for a career. Um, my desire to become an entrepreneur actually started. I wanted to start a outdoor nature school for kids.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I didn't have the funds to start it up at the time, so I actually tried to start it up and ran out of money. So,
Standard,
uh,
that's normal.
yeah, so then I started up copywriting instead because it was, it didn't take a big monetary investment to get started in that. And basically, a friend of mine showed me how to get started as a copywriter to get my first clients.
Yeah.
And so I realized, oh, I can actually make money doing this and help other businesses get started with some professionally written copy. And some people don't know what copy is. So copy is basically anything that's written to help a business sell something.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
so I've been doing that a bit over a year, and mostly working with small to medium-sized businesses. I've worked with all sorts of industries, and basically it's about getting to know them and getting to know their ideal customers and writing something that really speaks to those customers.
Yeah, fantastic. And I guess coming back to working with kids, I mean that's a really interesting business idea. I mean, how did that come about? Have you always had a keen interest with kids?
Well, I went to university for environmental science, and it's been my goal for many years to do something that helps the environment.
Yeah.
And in my last year or two of university, I joined an organization called Let's Talk Science, and we went into classrooms of elementary school classrooms mostly and did fun hands-on science workshops with them.
Yep.
And I loved it. And I thought, wow, I would love to do this with kids and teach them about nature. And then they can have fun outdoors in nature and learn to care about nature as well.
Yeah. No, that's wonderful. That'd actually be really rewarding. Um, And yeah, like, is that something that you still think that you may pursue one day, or the fact you've become such a fantastic copywriter, do you feel that this is now your calling?
So I would like to start the nature school in a couple of years, and I'll probably keep doing the copywriting on the side, so it can sort of fund my next business.
Yeah, nice. No, that's awesome. So, yeah, I mean, as you were saying before, with copy, it's so important to be able to reach a client's target audience and really speak to them, because that's in essence how you encapsulate the audience's attention, and that's how you convert. And at the end of the day, it all comes back to sales. So, yeah, that's really interesting that you've gone down that path, and you're doing phenomenally. You do some fantastic work. So, I guess, Alicia, with the progression of everything, so from getting started, because you were saying as well that it was quite a cheap investment, because it really is. When starting businesses, there is always an investment. It's either we invest our time or we invest money, and when it's a skill like copywriting, then it's quite a low barrier to entry, because it's only a little bit of money up front, and then the rest is all about time-based services. So that's really cool that you're able to just kind of get right in there, and your friend. So did they also mentor you for this, or more just show you the ropes?
He got started about the same time that I did. So he got started on Fiverr, and he showed me how to do it. Because I had actually signed up for Fiverr a couple of years ago and put on one writing gig, and nobody ever ordered, so I totally forgot about it.
Yeah.
So he showed me how to actually get my first sales. So that's how I got started, and now I've started to branch out of that and get clients outside of the site as well.
Yeah, that's awesome, because Fiverr now it's become such a ecosystem, in that you can find some really good quality work, like with yourself. It's no longer like, say, 10 years ago, whenever it first started, it was basically just $5 services. It's now actually quite a prominent platform. There's definitely both ends of the spectrum where you can still get really cheap work done, but you can actually get some phenomenal work done at the same time. So it's become a much more respected platform as well. And Fiverr, Upwork as well. These are two platforms that are fantastic for finding clients, because you just put your name up and show them a bit of work, and really you can just go from there. So I guess, Alicia, I'd love to hear about with the copywriting process. So if a business owner is wanting to maybe put their toe in the water, and they might want to just do a little bit of copy themselves, I mean, is there any advice you have for them to begin structuring their own copy? And obviously, if they need help, then reach out to you. But if they're just wanting to test it themselves first, so they can fully grasp the concept, is there any value or your 2 cents on the subject that you can throw in?
Yeah, definitely. I get a lot of startup owners working with me, and a lot of them have tried writing something on their own before contacting me. Yep. Or when they contact me, they're not sure what kind of information they should be giving me as well. So the type of information you're providing, as well as the way you're writing it, are two really important things. So just based on what I've seen with the clients I've worked with, I have I'd like to share some of the main things that you should be focusing on in any type of copy that you're writing.
Yeah, fantastic. That'd be great.
Yeah, so I mean, the first thing is that you really you want to know your business. If you're not really sure what you're selling, or what makes it unique from other businesses, that's definitely something that you need to figure out before you can really write effective copy. Because you want your writing to show that. Otherwise, it's not going to be persuasive. There's a million logo design companies out there, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you don't know why somebody should choose you, you can't tell somebody else why they should choose you.
Yeah.
So, that's the first thing. Really get to know your business and get to know your ideal customers as well. So, you know, what kind of businesses do you want to sell your logos to, and what is important to those businesses.
Yeah.
You know, it may be different styles, you know, businesses that like elegant or girly type of logos, right? It might be like a mompreneur kind of businesses, or, you know, it might be you know, something that's like a luxurious brand or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Or it could be your customer service, or, you know, how fast you are, your price, right? Anyways, that's really up to you to figure out. And then you can define your unique selling proposition. So basically, why should somebody choose you over your competition?
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah, and you know, some people say that there's no such thing as competition, and you know, that's a mindset thing. But when it comes to creating a unique selling proposition, it is a good idea to think that no matter what you're offering, there is somebody else or something else that somebody could be spending their time and money on. So
Exactly.
why should they spend it with you?
Exactly. You know, why should they invest in you and in your business? So, you know, some great points there.
Yeah, so you want to include that in your copy for sure. Um, and it's better to focus on as specific a type of customer as you can. So, for example, what's going to speak to mompreneurs is going to be different than what speaks to owner of a construction company.
Cool. Yeah.
So it's going to be more effective if you really tailor it to a smaller group rather than the spray and pray kind of approach where you try and capture everybody but don't really capture anybody.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Because yeah, it's just something about, you know, really encapsulating the audience's attention and being able to differentiate yourself from others. Because there is, you know, it is a mindset for competition, but there is also real competitors out there. You know, there are sometimes where some, you know, we've all heard of, you know, red ocean and blue ocean, where the red ocean is in essence, you know, saturation of a certain market. And if everyone's trying to do that certain thing, then it's going to be really hard to stand out. Whereas if you pivot and you have your unique selling proposition or your unique selling point, then it's going to be much easier for you to stand out from the crowd.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, and then when you're writing, you want to create a kind of voice for your company, and it's going to be different depending on yourself and the customers that you're wanting to attract.
Yep.
And you want to avoid a bunch of big words or jargon that people might not understand. Really, really keep in mind. Really keep that in mind. You
Yeah.
know,
Keep it simple, really.
I was talking to somebody the other day, and I said something about targeting your ideal client, and they said, "Well, what's targeting?" So even that's an example of using a word that my audience might not have understood.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that, because that, I mean, it surprises me, but at the same time, it doesn't surprise me because, you know, as individuals, we all know what we know, and we don't know what others don't know. And I know that sounds almost, you know, elementary, but it, you know, sometimes it is a case of words like that where, you know, it might be something that we think is, you know, just everyday language, and it may not be for certain people. So yeah, keeping it as simple as possible is going to be so powerful in moving forward.
Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the most important things that I do when writing is to put myself in the shoes of the customer.
Right.
Really try and forget what I know and put myself in their shoes. And just an interesting note on that, the average reading level in the United States is a grade 7 or 8 reading level. So you don't want to go over their heads. unless if you're targeting a audience that is more educated, for example, say you're targeting doctors, then you would probably want to write at a higher writing level.
Exactly. Yeah.
And yeah, if you don't know what your target audience, the customers that you want to get, how they talk, you can go and read reviews that people have left for similar companies, and you can see what kind of words that they use as well. So that's a neat trick, that you can try and include the same words or phrases that your customers are actually using. So it just really relates to them more.
Yeah, nice. No, that's awesome, because yeah, this is some fantastic value. So for everyone listening in at home, if you are getting value from this, we'd love to hear from you in the comments, just so that way that Alicia, can say hello afterwards, or if you have any questions, leave them in the comments and she can answer them for you, because this is a lot of value that we can actually apply to our businesses today. So, phenomenal there. So I guess, yeah, Alicia, with that, so for business owners that, they have dabbled and they've given it a go, these are some phenomenal points. Is there anything else you can recommend for business owners to do to perhaps stand out, maybe in regards to the length of the copy? Obviously, split tests are important, but maybe the length of copy or the style of the copy, and once again, it comes down to certain audiences. But from a visual perspective, not necessarily the actual copy itself, is there any advice you can offer in that regard?
Yeah, absolutely. So people online have about an 8-second attention span, so you have really a short amount of time to grab them. So your headlines are super important. You want them to be really relevant and be an interesting hook that draws them in. And along those lines as well, a lot of people just scan what they're reading. So if you put in headlines throughout the copy and make it really easy to scan, that's gonna actually let people read more. Those scanners will still read at least some of what you've written. And if they see from the headlines, oh yeah, this sounds like something I want to read further, then they might go back and read it more.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and then in terms of length, so again, regarding attention, a lot of times it is better to keep something short. For example, if you're sending out a first cold email, somebody might not want to, if they're sitting in their office and they have 100 emails to read, they might not want to read a whole long email.
Of course.
So especially if you don't really have a relationship with them yet. So your first email, you probably want to keep on the shorter side. So it only takes them, a few seconds or whatever to read that. For something that I saw recently, it said that for things that you need to have, like, for example, for groceries or toilet paper, whatever, you'll require only short copy because the person already needs that.
Cool.
But if it's something that is a want rather than a need, for example, maybe a new laptop or a business course, then that may require longer copy. And it should be longer if it's a higher price tag as well, because you need to really convince the person that it's a worthwhile investment for them and that you have the proof behind that as well.
Yeah.
So if you can include testimonials or case studies, the more real numbers you can put in there as well, helps with your proof as well.
Cool. Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Because for things like when you see sponsored Facebook ads, I had read that the longer the copy, although there will be less clicks, those that do actually sit there and read the copy, because it is more of a want than a need to get a course or coaching or all these different sponsored ads. But the longer the copy themselves, and the more people invest in reading that, then the more likely they are going to click and then convert and buy. Whereas if it's a sponsored Facebook ad and it's quite short copy, you will actually get a high rate of clicks, but the people aren't as invested in it, in which case then there's going to be a lower level of conversion. So it actually costs you more money to have shorter copy. But yeah, when it comes to certain things, it's all about the type of industry, the type of service, split tests as well. But yeah, I think some really good points there that you've made about with length of if it's a need or a want, things like that.
Yeah, and I think you touched on a good point too, is that if you're selling something like a course and somebody isn't willing to read through your long sales page, maybe they're not the right client for you.
Perfect. Yeah.
There's a whole process of weeding out the people that you don't want as well. So
yeah, definitely. No, that's it, because you really want to work with the right type of people, and that is so important, not only for making sure it's the right fit, but just for say the complacency with the client, because if they're not right fit, then they're always going to be complaining about different things. Whereas if they're someone that is very like-minded to you or to us, then yeah, it's going to work out so much better in the long run, because they're going to be happier overall.
absolutely, we want happy clients, not ones that aren't the perfect fit for us. So
yeah, exactly. And sometimes it's for those that may be starting out, sometimes it is a case of trying to just get any client available, but then as it starts to pivot and shift and we start to build our businesses, then it is very easy to, well, not easy, but it is possible to turn certain clients down if they're not the right fit. So it's about that, that fine line between tolerance of what we can put up with and where we are in our businesses. So as we start to level up, then yeah, it becomes a much more common thing to say on the call, I don't think we're the right fit for one another and things like that. So it's phenomenal to make that point where we want to make sure they are the right type of client.
yeah, and over time as you're in business, at least I've found you really learn who is the right client for you or not.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, so we talked about getting people's attention with a strong hook.
Yeah.
Right, and you want to give them a reason to keep reading. So again, really focusing on what they want. If I wrote something like, I write awesome copy, well, if I was reading that as a customer, I'd be like, okay, that's cool, good for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so yeah, I would want to write something that like increase your sales by 50% or something. Oh, that sounds interesting, I'd like to do that.
Yeah.
So then I might be more likely to click on that because it's actually relevant to what I want.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. Because it's just about encapsulating the audience's attention in whatever way. Even if you're quite blasé initially in regards to what the pitch is, it really depends on the type of industry and the service you're offering. You might want to be really specific in the copy, and then people know exactly what they're clicking on. So it's all about these different factors that play a big role in ultimately the sales conversion.
Yeah, and if you can be as specific as possible. Right? Like, try and avoid saying things like, I sell, we have awesome, great water bottles. Like,
Yeah.
what is awesome about it?
Exactly.
So it could be, I don't know, it stays cold for 24 hours. I don't know
Yeah, no,
what
exactly.
people look for in a water bottle.
Yeah.
It's leak proof. It's pretty.
Yeah. Yeah, saying something is awesome, that's very subjective. So then it becomes,
Yeah.
well, how do you define awesome? And, does everyone think that awesome has the same meaning? So, really good to, as you said, if it's pretty or, it keeps the water cool for, 24 hours or whatever, I guess the benefits of the product are, really focus on those.
Yeah, and there's a lot of buzzwords that really don't say much. like we're the top company. You know, anybody can claim they're the top company, but what does it really mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, those kind of vague words don't work very well. They sound nice, but they aren't very useful.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and you see it so often where there's a lot of psychology behind using certain words like trust, guarantee, things like that. But it's like, well, how can you claim you're, the most trusted company for X? Or
Mm.
if you say there's a guarantee, but then you're not mentioning what the guarantee is, it's like, well, we guarantee your satisfaction. It's like, well, how do you guarantee that? Like, it's so subjective. So, the copy in what you write is so important for, every step of the way.
Yeah, yeah. When it comes to satisfaction guarantees, you know, you do take on a risk because anybody can say, well, I'm not satisfied with it, just to get their money back.
Exactly.
So, you know, that's something to think about, but I think most people are honest, and, you know, they usually a satisfaction guarantee does increase your sales. So that's just something to consider anyways if you're thinking about a satisfaction guarantee.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So,
And it is totally subjective based on the customer, so that's sort of where your risk comes in. But if you qualify them as well, that helps too.
yeah, pre-qualified customers are just the ideal customer. That's basically what it comes down to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, awesome. So I guess, Alicia, from here, is there any topics that you would like to touch base on that you would like to go through with us today?
Yes. So I wanted to talk a bit about features and benefits. So, you know, the features of your product or your service is what actually sort of the nitty gritty, I guess, details of what you're offering.
Yep.
So, for example, maybe it's if you're selling a course, it's going to be 6-hour-long videos and 3 worksheets and whatever. So, but you want to also include the benefits of that. So how is that going to actually help your business in this case?
Yeah.
So maybe benefits could be you gain more confidence so that you can go out and do what you need to do to get clients, or it could be you learn a great technique that's going to again bring you in 50% more sales, whatever it is, right? Those are the benefits, how it's actually going to help them. So for me, I like to understand how I get the benefit, because then it builds trust for me. But the most important thing is the benefit rather than just listing the features.
Yeah, exactly. Like, features are important, but we sell on benefits. So when it comes to sales and really, during a sales pitch or, even in the copy, really the benefits are where we focus, because it's focusing on the emotions, because it's the benefits is, what it's going to achieve for the business owner. So features are important, but yeah, we sell on benefit.
Yeah, totally. Another thing I wanted to talk a bit about is then how to create the desire in somebody to buy. So far we've talked mainly about logical reasons, like, yes, I want to get more sales, or yes, I want to keep my water cold for 24 hours.
Yeah.
But buyers aren't just motivated by logic. There's a huge emotional component as well.
Definitely.
So, you know, for example, when people have asked me on sales calls, well, what would your life look like if you could achieve X, Y, and Z?
Yeah.
That's basically what you're trying to do in your copy, is get people to imagine what their life would look like, how it would be better if they had your product. So you can do this through a variety of ways. For example, storytelling. People are wired to want to listen to a story. So you could tell maybe the story of a past client, you know, how they were struggling before, what happened when they worked with you, and then what it was like, what it's like now. Or you can even tell your own story if you've used a certain process and or you've used your own product, whatever it is, and it helped you. You can tell that story. So really imagining the before and after.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you know if you're on a call, which is not really it's not copy, but if you're on a call, you can actually ask them and get them to imagine it. So
Yeah.
but when you're writing, you've got to paint the picture for them.
Definitely. No,
So yeah, we talked about the proof and being specific. So then once you've done all this, some people forget a really important part, which is the call to action. So, you know, say you have on your homepage, you've written about your product and you've written what people will get out of it, and you've shown some testimonials and everything. And then at the end, nothing. You got to show people what you want them to do now.
yeah.
Whether it's send you an email or sign up for the product or, you know, read something else. But there should always be some sort of call to action, what you want the person to do, so that you can make that sale or take them to the next part of the funnel.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So I remember years ago, eBay did a split test where on their call to action button, it was a green button. And then they tested that the red button actually converted better, which, you know, it seems strange because, you know, we'd be so preconditioned that, you know, green means go, red means stop. But yeah, the green button actually do as well as the red button, which is phenomenal. So, you know, words as well. Like, would you say words like today or like by today or by now, are they helpful in copy, or is that more just a you know, kind of something that people think may help but it doesn't actually help?
Yeah, the little words, especially in your call to action buttons like buy now, are super important, and a tiny change can make a huge difference. Um, and the reason why copywriters put today or now is we want the person to act right now when they are in that moment of reading all the benefits and how it will help them, and they have that desire to act, right?
Yeah.
If they leave and they may never come back, but so we want them to act now. So that's why we have now or today. And yeah, so interesting about the green and red buttons. So yeah, it's just the tiniest things. When one thing is that you want to use me or my instead of you. So for example, instead of get your free ebook, get my free ebook.
Okay.
And that actually causes a huge increase in conversions.
Cool.
Through that one word.
Yeah, that's a good tip. Yeah, absolutely. That's yeah, it's a really good tip. So would you say in the same fashion then saying like I want would be better than you know, you can get?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's, yeah, those I, me, my, mine. It creates a connection between the reader and the product. So it feels like, you know, if it's get my free water bottle now, it's like, oh, this is already mine. I should
Yeah,
get it.
cool. Yeah, yeah, fantastic. So yeah, Alicia, this has been phenomenal. Like so much value here. You know, I think that everyone listening at home is getting some real you know, valuable points that they can apply basically to their business right now. So is there anything else that you would like to cover today? Because I know you've got a lot of information to share, and I want to make sure that, you know, we really you know, utilized all the effort that you put in for this. So is there any other topics that you'd like us to touch on while we've got you on the phone today?
Yes, I would like to talk about something that people, it seems like a very small thing, but it's really, really important,
Yep.
is your grammar. So a study that I read a couple of months ago from the UK, 59% of people they surveyed said that they wouldn't buy from a company that had a noticeable grammar mistake on their website.
Okay.
So just one grammar mistake can make a big impact. You know, you don't want that costly impact on your company just from a grammar mistake.
Yeah,
So
that's interesting.
yeah, and you know, there's not really a quick fix solution for that. There are some tips that I can give you to improve your grammar right now. You know, one is to use your grammar checking apps, like even the grammar check in Word, or use Grammarly, which I've been seeing ads for everywhere.
Cool. Yeah. You must have
So
clicked
you know, that
on
helps. It doesn't catch everything, but it helps.
Yep.
And you can read it out loud. I always do this when I'm editing my own copy, is I go back and read it out loud at least once. And every time I make changes, I go back and read it again. Because sometimes when I make changes, it doesn't line up with the other writing perfectly. So I have to go back and fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you can, get a fresh set of eyes on it, because we're really closely attached to what we've written and we already know what we mean, but if somebody else reads it, they might not know what you mean.
Yeah.
So it's really good to get a fresh set of eyes on it.
Yeah, cool. Because that sales training guide that I wrote, that I tagged you in, you're gonna hate it just because I was informed that there's heaps of grammatical errors, but most of that was sitting out in the sun with a beer when I wrote that. So so yeah, I didn't really proofread it. I just wanted to get it out. So just yeah, you're probably gonna like cringe during, but there is value in there. It's just ignore the grammatical errors.
Well, you know, it's progress, not perfection, right?
Exactly.
A big roadblock of mine is wanting everything to be perfect. So sometimes I just don't do it if I don't think that it can be perfect. So it's better to do something than to procrastinate.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I suffer from that as well. I did a post about it the other day where, like perfectionism and trying to get something perfect before moving forward with it is such a you know, curse of a mindset to have, because you want to put your absolute best foot forward so that you're giving everyone, you know, the absolute best of your abilities. But at the same time, if you do wait to launch something that you're comfortable in launching, then you've waited too long. So, you know, I'm a big yeah, advocate of trying to avoid doing that. But in saying that, I am also someone that suffers from that. So yeah, I completely understand. So I know it's a bit hypocritical there, but yeah, it's just I completely get that. So yeah, sometimes it's a case of better off launching and then just redoing it later, which in essence I did with the ebook. I was like, you know what, fuck it, like it's just get it out there. So yeah, I completely agree with you there, Alicia.
Yeah, well, I'm a hypocrite too. You know, I'm doing my best. I think we're all doing our best.
Yeah.
I look forward to reading your, oh, excuse
There's
me,
so much there. It's
reading your
like
guide.
almost 4,300 words. I ran it down to 42, but it's like 4270 or something. So just maybe just skim read it, see what's there.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Well, Alicia, like this has been an absolute pleasure. Like I've gotten so much value from this today. It's been a great chat. I've had a lot of fun. No doubt that everyone that does listen to this in the niche entrepreneur community, Facebook group, and on iTunes and Android will get a lot of value from this as well. So for those that have listened to, you know, your information and they're really keen to work with you in one way or another, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
You can, if you're looking at this on Facebook, then you can send me a message. I'm sure you'll be tagging me in the post.
Yep.
Ross. And otherwise, you can go to Drover Writing. It's DROVER writing.com. And you can send me a message, or you can have a look there, and my email is on there as well. It's just info@droverwriting.com.
Yep.
Yeah, and so if you have any, if you're looking to, say, start a website, or you want to improve the copy that you have, then yeah, it doesn't have to be a website, but yeah, any copy, just send me a message and we'll see what we can do.
Awesome. Yeah. Any websites, funnels, things like that. Yeah. Fantastic. Well, Alicia, thank you so much for coming on today. This has been an absolute pleasure. I've really enjoyed our chat. And yeah, I hope everyone at home did as well. So yeah, thank you for coming on. Thank you for your time, and thank you for all the preparation you've put into today's episode.